Alrighty, folks, thanks so much for a bit of patience there. Start just a few minutes later than normal. Just had a few technical issues, which I think we've got through now. We'll be fine. But if you can hear me, great. You'll be able to put a little comment there in the chat room to say you can hear me. And if you can't, well, we've still got audio issues. But do the usual. Just drop me a comment in, and at least I know then we're good to go. That's brilliant. Thanks so much just for those few comments. It's always good. You can start to de-stress when you know that the technicals are working. So yeah, good to go. Really looking forward to this one. This is a real special one. We're going to get to see some really, stuff here that people wouldn't ordinarily see when Aaron goes through some behind the scenes of the Snow Bear. Really special stuff. So yeah, we've got another, 3 minutes to go, and we'll bring the main man in. Alrighty, we should still be able to hear me. Hopefully you can hear me. Now you should be able to see me. So thank you so much, everybody, just for hanging on there just for a few more minutes for the later start. We had a few technical issues, but I think we've got through them now. We'll be good to go. But really looking forward to this one. I've wanted to get Aaron on for quite some time, but it's just trying to trying to juggle things, trying to get him in, because I know he's been really, really busy with all the animation for Snow Bear, which I can't wait to go through with you later on. But before we bring the main man in, just to quickly get through some admin, I've just got a couple of things to mention about. The first one, let me dive over to my screen, it's only a simple one. It's just to do with the Lightroom. Those of you who've been following me for a while lately, especially, you'll know that I've been doing a lot more stuff with Lightroom. This is my Lightroom community profile page. And just to let you know, I've added more of the images up on here. And the reason I'm telling you this is because if you hover your cursor over, when you go to this page, you can see the before and after for all these images. But in addition to that, you get to see absolutely everything that I've done on those images. So it's a great learning resource for how to retouch images in Lightroom. You can see all the stuff over here. You can actually click on the image and see it do like a time lapse as it goes through what each step does. But also, there's this little thing, I always include this, there's like a remix button, which means you can click on that, you'll be able to open the raw image up, and you can see here examples, there's some rather wacky ones, I must admit, where people have re-edited the image how they think they would do it. So that's one thing to let you know about. The other thing to let you know about, if I just dive over to my desktop, is my community, my newsletter. Homepage, I had a few people saying recently since the Lightroom Virtual Summit, how do they sign up for it? It's dead simple. Just go straight to my website, 𝐸𝐿𝐽𝑒𝑠.com, and it's on the main page there, right at the very, very top. So that's nice and simple. And the last one, which I keep forgetting to do, is this one, subscribe. It should just say follow. That's what it should say. Because when you see the word subscribe, you think it's going to cost you something, but it doesn't. It just means that you're going to be notified when I've got new videos and new live broadcasts like we've got going on this evening or this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you are, because I can see from the chat room there's people all over the place. But that's the admin done. I'm looking forward to this now. Let's get the main man in. But before we do, as you know, those of you regular viewers know that I always put like a little slideshow together. And this one was hard. This one was hard because it's got to live up to something, this has, because this is Aaron Blaise. This is an Oscar-nominated artist, director, worked on, some of the biggest movies in history, Lion King, Aladdin, Pocahontas, directed Brother Bear. And I'm saying I'm going to put a little slideshow together for him. So anyway, Aaron sent me some stuff over. I've put something together for him. I hope he likes it. I hope he likes the choice of music. I'll be able to see his face. I can see him in the little green room just on the side here. So I hope he likes it. And then we'll get him in and we're just going to go for it. Talk about his history at Disney, I'm sure. Talk about some recent work and also talk about Brother Bear. But this is Aaron Blaise's little promo that I put together. How cool is that? I've lost count how many times I've watched that, and I just like, oh God, I just love his stuff. Really love his stuff. Right, let me unmute him. So that should be working, and let's bring him in. So hopefully, Aaron,
Hello.
please say you can.
I gotta hire you as my music editor.
I just saw a friend of mine called 𝐓𝐡𝐞 posted as that was playing there, mate. He put, "Wow, the music's very Disney." I thought, yes.
Yeah, right.
That's exactly what I wanted.
You'll save me a lot of money. Yeah.
It just seems to fit really well.
I don't know how much you'd charge me. You might not save me a lot of money.
Oh, good stuff. No, I'm really pleased that you like that. I was watching your face in the little side screen there, just so you know, because got a lot to live up to getting it right here. But mate, it's brilliant to see you. It really is. We've not had a proper catch up in ages. We've kind of held it for tonight, but I can't wait to go through this. But thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime I get to hang out with you, it's all good.
Good stuff, folks. Obviously, you can hear that Aaron's is not crystal clear. Do you know what I mean? But he's there. He's definitely there. So just move a bit closer to your screens. That's all it is. And when I do the reels afterwards, we'll be able to do a little bit of tweaking with it. But it's good. It's still working, Aaron. So don't worry about that.
Maybe a little closer. There you go.
There we go. All right. Well, listen. Let's as I always do, mate, just to sort of get us settled in and lubricated, as I always say at the very start of this. Give us for those who have no idea who you are, which I'll be surprised, but those who don't know who you are, just give us a very quick potted history about you. What have you done in the past? Where did you come from to get to where you are now?
I grew up in South Florida, always wanting to be an artist, very supportive family, big in the arts. And I wanted to be a wildlife artist. I went to the Ringling College of Art and Design in South Florida. And during that time, I wanted to work for National Geographic and be an illustrator. I trained to be an illustrator, but that changed. I'm trying to keep this brief. I ended up training with Disney back in 1988. I got an internship and fell in love with the art of animation. And so I was hired by Disney in 1989, straight out of college, and became an animator. And over 21 years working at Disney, I became an animator, designer, character designer, supervising animator, and then ultimately a director. And I've been animating now for 35 years, 36 years. And also I've kept up with my animal drawing and painting. And now I'm currently still creating short films, and I have a website called creatureartteacher.com, where we teach art and animation and animal anatomy and animal drawing and all kinds of fun stuff. So creatureartteacher.com, that's our current gig right now.
Cool. Well, I've got the old little graphic that comes up just there. I've made it, so I might as well use it. That's obviously got the details. But what I'll also do, mate, at the end of this is I'll put all the details for any links that you want. I'll put them underneath the description part of the video. But tomorrow as well, I'll create a blog post with loads of different things in, because I think there's going to be quite a few links for people to go to check out some stuff, because especially when it comes to the snow bear, because I saw a recent reel that you released on Instagram about stuff that needs to be done with the snow bear stuff. But we'll come to that in a moment. But I was trying to reminisce how long we'd known each other, and it's because time just goes really quickly. And I kind of looking through, I spoke to our mutual friend Dave Clayton as well, and we had a look at some images, and I just wanted to just quickly show you these. Remember this? Yeah,
that's about 100 pounds ago.
That was because do you remember when we that was obviously when we stayed at your place on the beach there, and I remember that one morning when we woke up and there was that huge, it was almost like big track had gone across the beach, and it was the track
it was the largest sea turtle in the world. The leatherback sea turtle had come up during the night and laid eggs on the beach, and we got to see the big tank track that it left behind its way back.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. What real privilege that was. But yeah, good times. There's loads of other images like we got here. I did all this kind of stuff. Pictures here at your place. And I think this was when we first met. I think this was in the sets when
that's way back, 12 years ago.
Yeah. Scary. You say it's 100 pounds ago. I was a bit darker beard ago. That's when that was, but hey. But mate, let's have a talk through some stuff then, because there's so much that I want to talk about, because obviously your history there, you very quickly skimmed over it with the movies that you've done, your involvement in Lion King, Pocahontas, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and what have you. That's some of the biggest movies in history.
Yeah.
And you've kind of been involved in them. It's like, well, I mean, when it comes to like things like Lion King, what was your involvement in Lion King?
Well, it's funny, when I started at Disney, I was 21 years old. It was 1989, and Disney was right on the cusp of doing the new renaissance that we hit through the 90s. And so we were all really young, and we were all there, and we started at this little animation studio at Disney World, MGM Studios in Orlando. So we became like a second unit to the main studio in Los Angeles. And so we always felt like we had something to prove, to live up to. So we always worked a little harder. But one of the other things, though, was that animation at that time wasn't really big the way it is now. And so we didn't have that weight on us. We didn't realize that we were creating these iconic films we knew we were making great films. We just didn't know that we could look back on them 35 years later and they'd still be just as popular as they were then. And so on The Lion King, I created young Nala. So she was my character. I designed her and then animated her throughout the film. And
wow.
And you get inspiration from all over the place. My daughter, who's 34 years old now, she was about 2 at the time, and she just had these big eyes and super cute. And so her look, a lot of that went into the look of Nala. And so to this day, she still tells everybody that she's Nala from The Lion King.
So there's all that, that kind of history that you've got there. You've got, I can see my friend Ian Monroe's in the chat room here. He'll know what I mean when I say this, but you've got the credentials. Do you know what I mean? Certainly when it comes to somebody who's now, as you mentioned there, and we'll show the website in a short while, but you're doing the teaching side of it. You've got the credentials. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to work with probably the #1 animation studio in the world, and I was able to do that for 21 years and been animating for 35 years. So it's an honor, and I was very, very lucky to come into the industry when I did. It was all a lot of it is being in the right place at the right time, and that definitely happened for me.
Cool. Now, what I want to do is dive into some of the specifics. Like certainly for those over in the UK, you might not realise this, but you were heavily involved in a John Lewis, which is a traditional thing, isn't it? John Lewis Christmas advert back in 2013, was it? Something like that?
13, yeah.
Yeah. Scary.
I think it was 13.
I want to talk about that. Yeah, talk about that in a moment. And also there's this thing to do with the Procreate app, which a lot of people who've got the iPads, they'll know about the Procreate app. But I want to just quickly mention about some of these images here, Aaron, because it just intrigues me. Because obviously, when we've spent time together, and you're very kind of blasé about it in a way. It's like, oh yeah, anybody can draw. But when we look at images like this that you've created here, I mean, can anybody do this kind of stuff in your opinion?
Yeah. I'm very analytical in the way that I approach my illustrations and my paintings. It's just something I learned back in college. You do the process the same way over and over, and it creates efficiency. And so, you can create something, the more efficient you can create in your process, the better off you are, and you can create more work. And so that being said, the way that I create all of my visual images is basically the same. It starts with a concept. Then it goes to a rough drawing, then it becomes a refined drawing, and then it's base colors, shadows, highlights, all that. And you go through this process. And what's nice about that is that you're breaking down what is seemingly, when you step back from it, it's a super complex, like how the hell do you ever do this? But when you break it down by piece, little bit by little bit, it becomes a much simpler process, and you're just building on each step that you did before. And so that's, over the years, that's what I've been able to develop, and that's what I try to teach people now.
I think one of the things that when I first got to meet you and we became friends and we hung out, saw stuff at your house a couple of times and see the work that you've done. For me as a photographer, one of the things that I learned from you, which was unexpected really, was, and obviously somebody did compositing in Photoshop. One thing I learned from you was the use of light and shadow, because until I kind of saw you and saw how you used it, I really struggled with that. But I remember you kind of showing one technique that you did to create a shadow over some kind of animal, and I was like, my God, that's how you do it. It just completely struck me. So that's why from then on, I was always talking to people saying you should follow Aaron, because although Aaron's in a different genre to photography, there's so much that photographers can learn from people like yourself, because
we have so much overlap. Yeah, there's tons of overlap. And the idea of light and shadow, that goes to the abstract design. Even though everything I do is representational, I still approach everything from an abstract design standpoint. And I'm looking for emotion. I'm looking to guide the eye. I'm looking for movement. I'm looking for all the things that we enjoy when we're looking at an image or enjoying a film or whatever it might be. It's the emotional roller coaster, and you can do that through music. You do it through film, but you can also do it with still imagery, whether it's photography or illustration. And there's elements, there's techniques that you use to draw the most emotion that you can. And it starts with, a nice graphic design. And so I use light and shadow, light and dark to guide the eye and do those things.
This is one of the things I know when we spoke, was it yesterday or the day before, when you showed me some stuff, which, I was privileged to see, and that we can't show tonight, but you showed some additional stuff. And I said to you, it's just amazing how you can draw an animal, which we immediately recognize, but you can also draw it in a way that you kind of get so sucked in that you can see their personality. You can see in their face emotion. Right. Now, it's one thing to draw an animal, but then to show an emotion in the animal as well was like, just blew me away. So my kind of thoughts are, where does that come from? You can obviously study animals, and I know on your courses that you do the movement and all that kind of stuff, but where do you learn about emotions and how to portray those when you're drawing them?
Well, it's funny. So many people think about animation as moving things around the screen and the art of moving things around the screen. And really, that's not what animation is, or at least good character animation. Good character animation is not the art of moving things. It's the art of bringing things to life. And so sometimes, think of it like music. It's not how many notes you play. Sometimes it's how few notes you play to get the mood in the right place. And animation and visual movement or visual acting for animation is the same thing. So a lot of it, we think about the acting in different stages. There's the full body and what you can get across in a pose. There's, what can you get across from the waist up? What can you get across from the shoulders up? And then what can you get across in the face? And so, we're always looking at emotion and emoting and how we emote and right down to how do we relate to other animals? How do animals relate, emote to one another? There's things that cross over from species to species. Like, I don't know, if you stare straight into the eyes of another animal, that's a sign of aggression. And it's the same thing with us. There's these really basic things, but then there's also the subtleties that humans, because we're such a social species, the most subtle change in our expression can signal different emotions. And it's so ingrained in the way we are that once you become an artist that can interpret those, then that's one of the things I actually have a course on expressions and how to draw them and all that. And it's the most subtle change in an eyebrow, the most subtle change in the corner of a mouth. Yeah. You can get a whole new expression. And that's just an ongoing thing that you'll study throughout your life. That I'm still doing that.
Well, one of the things that, when you do the animation, and I think this is like when you see a traditional animation, which is like, rewind to when I was a kid and you remember seeing it done like, the Disney stuff that you worked at. That's what you feel really connected to it. But I remember going back a few years now, 2013, I think it was, the John Lewis Christmas ad, which is a big deal. For folks in the UK, it's like we know all about the John Lewis ad. All the huge stores compete on television to get the most eyes on by having the best Christmas ad. And yours, my God, was unbelievable. Now I want to play the ad for those people who've maybe never seen it or to remind you what it was. But one thing I can't do is have the audio on it, because the audio, it was sung Somewhere Only We Know, sung by Lily Allen.
Yeah, it's copyrighted.
Yeah, it's copyrighted. But if I play it, Aaron, can you just kind of give us I don't know. Give us just like your thoughts on it. How did where did
Yeah,
that job come from, and what was your involvement on it? So this, I'll play it, and I'll let you do a little bit of a voiceover.
sure,
Give us a bit of a history on it.
sure. Well, the first thing you're going to see, which is what really drew me to the project, is that the environment, that's a real set. That's a model set. And I did the animation on paper, and they scanned the animation, colored it digitally. That shot right there where he reacts to the snowflake, just really quick. I had him really doing a big take to that, and I went back and forth with the directors of the commercial several times before they finally said, no, just make it more British. He doesn't react very much. I said, okay. But you'll see that, so the drawings were scanned, they were colored, and then they were printed out on boards and laser cut out every silhouette of every drawing, and they were placed within the set. And so when you see
Wow.
shadows, when you see depth of field and all that, that's really in camera. It's not composited, except for things like the snow falling and that sort of thing. But when everything else is in camera, and that to me was really fascinating. And I'd
Yeah.
never done a project like that. And matter of fact, since we made this commercial, I'd love to do a feature like this. I just think it would be amazing.
Yeah.
But it's also a lesson in great storytelling. I didn't come up with the story for this. It was they came to me to see if I could design the characters and direct the animation. But and I actually animated the hare and the bear as well. But it's just a great example of how you can tell a full story in 2 minutes. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of really being economical and strip down what you need to say and how you say it and how emotional it can be once you get
Yeah.
that simplification in there.
There's some cracking videos, actually, official videos by people who are involved in it, I think, that show the behind the scenes. So they show
Yeah.
Lily Allen in the studio, then it cuts to your animation, then it cuts to the moving the actual cutouts that you mentioned. In fact, there you go. That's the
Yeah.
cutouts just there,
I've got
right?
several of them right there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
got them in my collection, and actually they're stored away right to my left over here.
But check this out. Check this out.
Yeah. I remember that.
Can you see that?
Yeah, those are the
How
drawings from
cool
the
is
commercial.
that?
Actually,
Yeah, yeah,
do you remember? Do you remember? I remember meeting up with you guys at one of our events, and we were catching up. And I said, "Yeah, I'm doing this commercial for,
Oh,
I don't know, John Lewis. You guys know about John Lewis?" And you went,
oh
"What?"
yeah.
You guys went,
Yeah.
"No, you and Dave." Yeah,
Yeah.
and I actually
Well, I
showed
got
you some
that
of the
there.
commercial while we were making it.
Yeah, and you scribbled onto it saying, this is for Anne, my wife, and I hope to meet you someday. You will do. When we finish this, don't disappear, because I'm going to bring Anne in. She wants to say a quick hello. But
Oh yeah,
that's
that
something
would be
special.
great.
That's on our front room, in our living room wall, that is. That's there. So
That's awesome.
precious
That makes
stuff,
me
precious
happy.
stuff. But yeah, there's some incredible links that you can, and I'll put these in the description and on the blog post tomorrow for people to check out, because it is something else when you see it. It really is. Another thing I want to talk about, because I know I want to come to the snow bear, but before we do that, there was also more recently, there's this Procreate thing. Now, I'm sure
Yeah.
people who are watching this will have heard of Procreate. It's an app. I've even got it on my iPad that you can use to draw or just scribble like I do. But you got involved with the people behind Procreate for a particular thing that was being launched. Is it about a year or 2 years ago now? I can't remember now.
It's a year ago. Well, I got
Yeah.
involved with them about a year and a half ago for
Uh-huh.
this launch. But it was I think they launched it in November. They launched the
Yeah.
actual app in November, which is an animation app. And um, Procreate, for those of you that don't know, is a digital drawing painting app for iPad, specifically for iPad. And they eventually added a little bit of animation that you could do within it, but they decided a while back, about 6 years ago actually, to come up with a full, just straight animation app where you could create films and literally put together a film. And so they came to me once they got to a beta version, way back March, a year and a half ago, so March or February, and asked me if I would do this 1.5-minute piece using their their software. The Procreate Dreams is what it's called.
That's it. Yeah, yeah.
And so, first of all, I jumped right on it. I really was excited about it, but I said, okay, what do you guys want me to animate? And they said, we don't know. It's up to you. Whatever you want to animate. And I had no idea. And I was right in the middle of making Snow Bear. So I took 12 weeks off of making Snow Bear and jumped over. And the first thing I always tell people when you want to create a story is research. You know, you get a sense of what you want to say through research. And so I wanted to know a little bit more about the Procreate company. And I found out they're based in Tasmania, of all places. And I thought, well, that's really interesting. And so I started studying Tasmania and all the different things about Tasmania. And I discovered that Tasmania, along with New Zealand and Southern Australia, is the home to the world's smallest penguin, fairy penguin. Right. And so, and the software is called Dreams. And so I was thinking about a tiny little penguin, Dreams. Obviously, penguins can't fly. So it started the snowball rolling in my head about a penguin that dreams he can fly. And I started doing some research about around the areas of Tasmania, these big cliffs and everything. And all of a sudden that became the basis for the story. And so within a couple of weeks, I had the idea, storyboarded it over a week, pitched it to Procreate, and they liked it. And then I went away and took about 10 weeks and animated it. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I've got that poised, and I can play that with the original audio, which is pretty cool. So so this is
really quick. And so the score for this was done by a young guy in Los Angeles, Max Mueller. We went to him and he said, "Yeah, I can do this," and he just knocked it out. I just wanted to give him some kudos.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Such a great job with the score. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, this is what you created in 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
There you go.
It's just so cool. And you know what? Amanda Glassball has just commented the perfect comment. I feel like a child again watching this. That is exactly how it makes you feel watching it. And I think, again, it's because it takes you back to how you remember cartoons being done. Do you know what I mean? That look, that feel, that pencil kind of feel to them, that rather than like the modern stuff. Not to knock the modern stuff, but it really does make you go back to your childhood seeing that kind of.
We have a whole generation now that's gotten so used to CG animation. I didn't grow up with CG animation. That's, to me, it's still new. And so when I just went back to the way I was trained to do animation with this. And that's the number one comment that I get on our YouTube channel where this is living right now, is that, oh, this brings me back to the 90s. Oh, I feel so nostalgic. Oh, I feel like a kid again. It's all, and that makes me happy. I really love that, because there really is, we get a lot of comments that there's this thirst, there's this hunger for 2D hand-drawn animation again. And so it gives me a little hope.
I was going to say, it's an interesting thing. So I noticed earlier on that a friend of mine, Stuart Wood, who's in the chat room there, big fan of yours, by the way, he's followed you for years. He commented about what does Aaron think of AI and stuff like that? Because obviously that's a big thing these days, with it certainly, in my world being pushed into Lightroom and Photoshop. But in your side of things, with the way that the animation's being done that we see a lot of now,
yeah.
Do you see that replacing, or do you see, like you say, there is a hunger for that tradition because it takes you back to that feeling of watching a kid, cartoon as a kid?
Yeah. My stupid joke is I do everything with AI. Aaron intelligence. Oh, there you go.
Dad jokes. Dad jokes. Can't beat 'em. But do you
No,
see?
it's funny. I was asked a couple of months ago what I thought about AI, and AI is advancing so fast. It's blowing my mind. And a few months ago, I said, it's not. I don't think it's really going to affect us that much. And I've completely reversed on that. It is going to affect us. It's going to affect not just the art world and all the things that we do. Obviously, it's going to affect every aspect of everything that we know. And but will it affect me personally as an artist wanting to express myself? No, because I love what I do. I love the act of animation. I love coming up with a story in my head and creating a world that people can enjoy. And so the whole process of the animation process, I'll never change that. AI may come in and find ways of making it more efficient, but I'll never use it in a way that's going, where I'm going to use it to do animation for me.
Sure.
Now, on the other hand, Sony just came out yesterday or 2 days ago or 3 days ago talking about, the next Spider-Verse movies are going to be done in AI. And they just said, we're doing it in AI. We want to make our films more efficiently and cost less. And that's what we're doing. And so it's starting to hit our world and in our business. It's going to hit in a hard way, or people are going to have to rethink where and how they fit into the industry from a job standpoint. And that's scary. It's scary for a lot of people. And, but I don't know. I don't know what to say beyond that other than we have to adapt.
From what we said, earlier on when we were chatting either yesterday or the day before, what was encouraging to hear and really good to hear was, because obviously you've got a huge audience. I mean, your YouTube channel has just gone ballistic since you first started out. I know you've surpassed the 1 million subscribers. Yeah. Just unbelievable. But what's really encouraging to hear is that when I said to you, your audience, what's your audience made up of? And although you've got all age ranges in there, you were telling me that the vast majority of your audience is in the 18 to 24s. And that is the audience that is all this AIs is kind of like, well, that's the norm for them. But to hear that that's your audience predominantly is really encouraging.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, like you said, our audience ranges from 8 to 98, but that core in there, it's the, coming out of high school, coming out of college, that range, that kind of 6-year range in there, young professionals getting started, looking for the advice and looking for the training. That's, and the fact that they're still looking for traditional training and traditional design and that sort of thing is really encouraging. And, because I'm when you break it down, I'm 56 years old. I'm an old guy, and I get self-conscious a lot of times.
Don't say that.
What's that?
I don't say that. I'm not that far behind you. You're not old.
No, you're not. But compared to the 18 to 24-year-olds, I'm an old guy.
Well, yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
And it makes me happy that they're still, looking for advice. Because I've started to experience a little bit of ageism in my experiences along the way, but by and large, it's been really great.
Good. All right. Well, listen, there's some great comments coming in, which I'm kind of doing my best to multitask here, Aaron, sort of highlighting some of them so we can bring them up later on. But I want us to get to the Snow Bear thing, because it's just unbelievable what you've created so far with that. And I showed Anne what I'd put together with the bit of music that I've chosen. So hopefully I made the right choice for that. And she genuinely had tears watching it. And I know Dave's also been privileged to see pretty much the whole story. And he's told me every time he's seen it, it's kind of moved him to tears. You know what I mean? Because it is incredible how you create these emotions. But we'll have a short break, just so you can have a sip of water or something like that. And then when we come back after about a minute and a half, I'll just play a quick ad. Then we'll dive into the Snow Bear, because I really do want to hear more about it, where the idea came from, and what the future is for it, what your plans are. So I'll be back with you in a second. Folks, we do need to, in fact, I've run out of water. I'm going to have to, I don't know, tip it upside down and try and get as much as I can out of that glass. But play a quick ad, and then we're going to go through this Snow Bear, which, like I said, is just insane. So we're back with you in about a minute and a half. Alrighty, so yeah, let's have a talk about Snow Bear. I've got it all lined up, ready to play, but give us a quick lead in before I show people what is Snow Bear.
Snow Bear is the end result of me wanting to come back and get back into animation. I spent 21 years working at a studio with over hundreds of people. We were making these giant blockbuster, high production value films, but I wanted to make something on my own. I've always wanted to see what I could do. And I wanted to show young people out there that are getting so discouraged that all it takes is sitting down and putting your nose to the grindstone and being dedicated to it and doing it every day. And so that's what I decided to do. And so it kind of, the story, the idea percolated for several years. I wanted to come up with a simple story with a single character and tell it fairly quickly. So I came up with an idea of a polar bear, a lonely polar bear living in the Arctic, which at the time I thought, it can do simple backgrounds. It was anything but that. And to combat his loneliness, because he's having trouble making friends, he decides to make a snow bear to keep himself company. And so I tapped into all the emotions and everything that I've gone through over through my life and created the story. Nick Birch, my business partner and brother-in-law, and I, we wrote the story together. And then, about 2.5 years ago, I started storyboarding it and animating it, and I've been working on it every single day ever since. And so I'm about 4 months away from finishing it. 3 months. Wow. So it's a 10.5 minute short. We started out wanting to make a 6-minute short. It's grown to 10.5 minutes. It's not very long, obviously, but it's one person, so it's taken three years to make.
Aaron, like I said to you when you showed it to me the other day, the full length thing, it's just beautiful. It's absolutely, it doesn't need to be longer than what it is. It's absolutely beautiful. So listen, I'm going to play what you sent over that's okay to share with folks, because obviously this is only like a sneak preview of part of the story. There is way more to the story than you're going to see now, folks. But let me just play that now. I hope that you're happy with the music, Aaron. But this is Snow Bear. Then we'll kind of dive into a bit more behind the scenes on it. it is just. The words can't describe it. It's just lovely. It's so lovely. But it is a proper emotional roller coaster when you're watching it. So there's obviously, understandably, there's some amazing comments coming in. We've got Roshan here has just put, this is going to be a gorgeous movie. And Lilo Roche has put that underwater sequence. Yeah, do you know what? That's the thing, isn't it? It's when I watched that the first time, I was, well, literally like this. I was imagining, as everybody would be, just leaning forward, just watching it and then getting sucked into all the emotion. But then when you rewatch it again and again, it's all those little things like the colouring of when he's on the ice and the orcas are underneath it. When he dives in, the splashes. And then the realisation, this has all been drawn. Every single part of this has been drawn. Do you know, it's just insane.
Yeah, it's definitely, we always describe it, creating an animated film as a marathon and not a sprint. And you've got to set goals. And, one of the advantages that I've had in my lifetime, I've worked with a lot of people in the animation industry, and, a lot of people are animators, or a lot of people are background painters. And, but I was lucky enough to be trained as a painter and an illustrator first. And matter of fact, when I was interning with Disney, I thought I was going to become a background painter. But instead, I went off and became an animator, but I held on to the painting side of things. And so I always wanted to go back, like I said earlier, and make a film where I could kind of flex my abilities on everything. And so I really looked forward to doing, the background paintings and figuring out the color script for everything and doing the animation and all of that. Claudia Barbone and my wife, Vedanta, they've helped out in painting the character throughout. But other than that, I've just, it's literally sitting down and every day and chipping away at it, one little piece at a time. Yeah.
It's made me think more, since I've seen this, it's made me think more about something that I'm involved in at the moment. There's a job I'm doing with Adobe, which I can't go into the details of it, but it means me editing a lot of images, more than I've ever edited. And I've just got so many to go through. And it's a bit of a monotonous process. Do you know what I mean? What you're having to do, certain images do certain things. And I'm kind of like, whoa, I have to get into the right mindset. I have to go away, come back, and I think, I can't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. So when I look at you doing what you're doing there, I mean, a prime example here, look, I've got this little thing, where is that little thing where you're doing, Aaron's sketching, look at this. So, when we see you doing this kind of stuff, so much of this animation, and that's, all those pages there probably wasn't even 2 seconds worth. But what you're doing there, how do you do that? How is it? I guess what I'm asking is, do you have to be a certain kind of person to do what you do?
Well, with 2D animation, hand-drawn animation, the best trait you can have, two things. You need persistence. You need to have the ability to sit in your chair and do the work. And the better draftsperson you are, the better you can draw, then the better off you're going to be at expressing yourself. I always equate it to poetry and understanding the language that you write poetry in. I'm speaking English, and if I wanted to be a poet, the more English, words that the bigger my vocabulary is, the better poetry I can write, along with bringing the talent of writing poetry. And it's the same thing with drawing. The more, animation is a visual language. And so the better you are at expressing yourself visually, the more effortless it is. And I shouldn't say effortless. The more you do it, the less hard it gets. It's always hard, but the less hard it gets. Then you're able to express a little bit easier. And so that's a long-winded way of saying be the best draftsman you can be. And so I'm always out drawing and practicing and sketching from life and doing all that. And those are the two things you need.
I think the thing that gets me about it more than anything is let's say if I've got a series of images that have all got to be done in a certain style. If I just kind of sat there and edited an image and retouched it rather, and created a certain mood, atmosphere, look with color and all that stuff. And then a few days later, somebody says, "All right, can you take that back to the start again and redo it so it looks exactly the same? It is hard. It would be hard.
It is.
Whereas someone like you, you know, you're talking about how many years did you say you've been working on this now? 4 years, 4.5 years?
Well, actually making it for 3, yeah.
3 years. So you've been doing the same kind of thing for 3 years, but how it just amazes me how you're able to do that repetitive kind of duplication of the character.
Right. Well,
again and again.
One of the way all that comes into design. So, what you see is a lot of details on top of this shape, the polar bear shape. But if you strip away the details, the fur pieces and the eyes and all that, you end up with there's a certain way I build the character every time with basic shapes, ovals and circles and squares and all these different things. And you put those together and then you add your details on there. But when you think about it in these simple terms, then you're able to turn it around in space and think about it in a three-dimensional way that enables you to make it feel like it's the same character, but emoting and changing expression and all that kind of thing.
One thing I've got to ask you, which was a surprise, I noticed in the images that you sent over, the ones I'm just showing there of the snow bear, you've labeled them, the characters doing a certain thing, but I'm sure I noticed at some points it says Glenn staring up at this and Glenn this, that, and the other. And I'm thinking, does he name the characters? Even though they're not going to have a name in the actual movie, do you name them? Does it get that personal?
Well, it's funny. I didn't name him Glenn. And so this is what happened. So one of the things that we've been doing, I wanted to create, obviously I wanted to create a film, but I've also got this website, creatureartteacher.com, where I teach animation. And so, I'm always trying to find value to add value to for our members, because you can buy things a la carte, but you can also become a member at the website. And so we decided a couple of years ago that we would live stream twice a week, me sitting down and making Snow Bear. So I'm literally just sitting in my office, in my studio, twice a week. Well, I'm doing it every day, but twice a week you can tune in if you're a member and watch what I'm doing. And it's basically a little animation course. But that's been going for a couple of years. And so early on, the people watching said, "Hey, we got to name the polar bear," because I didn't have a name for him. Right. And I was like, "Well, I don't know what to name him." But my mentor, the guy that taught me animation, is a very well-known animator in the animation industry. Everybody knows him. His name is Glenn Keane.
Right.
He created Ariel. He created the Beast. He created Tarzan and so many Aladdin. So many iconic characters that we all know. Pocahontas, the character, and he was my mentor. He taught me animation, and that's very well known among the people that follow me. So they said, "Hey, let's name him Glenn after Glenn Keane." So that's how we got his name. So there you go.
Cool. Very cool. So what's with I know because there's something you want to show people on your own desktop. We'll do that in a moment, but I'm intrigued. What's this Snow Bear short movie that you're putting together then? What's the ultimate, what's the goal for it? What is the vision for where you're going to be going with it?
Well, the goal, there's several goals. I wanted to kind of scratch the itch of me wanting to make a film, which we're obviously doing. I've always wanted to make, our whole website is based on education. And so Nick and I said, well, why don't we make an animated short? And then at the end of that, we'll create a course on how to make your own animated short. And we'll have the entire process recorded. So that's the other thing. I've been recording the entire process for the last 3 years. And so we were doing that. But also, I want to draw people to our site. And so I figured I'd put my money where my mouth is and create a film and see if I can't draw people to the site through our filmmaking. So we're going to take it on the road once it's done, basically around the world, and hit different film festivals and see if we can't drum up some attention that way, and ultimately see if we can't get it in, maybe nominated for some awards down the road. And if we can, that's even a better feather in our cap that will draw more attention to our site and enable us to make more films after that. So that's the goal. Yeah. So
as well as the drawing, you reckon you're a few months out now from having finished, getting all that sort of stuff done. I know you mentioned about you call it Foley, which is all the sound effects, Foley. And then there's the music as well, right?
Yeah. So, one of the things you got to remember, and this includes live action as well, in animation, not only is everything visually created, but you have to create every sound as well. So Foley is that. It's the footsteps. It's the, all the environmental sounds that you get along the way. And then there's sound design, which is going to be the sound of the bear if he has vocalizations and those types of things. But then there's also the score. Snow Bear has no dialogue. I want it to be all completely pantomime. So it's going to really heavily depend on a great music score to take it. And so along with Phil Collins, Mark Mancina scored Brother Bear. I worked with a great composer, Mark Mancina. Phil Collins wrote our music, but Mark Mancina wrote our score. He's also done the score for Moana. He did the score for Tarzan. He did the score for the Sea Beast. He's doing the score or working on the music for the new Lion King prequel, Mufasa, and he's also doing the score for Moana 2. He's very busy. But I wrote to him several months ago and said, "Hey, it's been a while, but would you be interested in scoring the small project I'm doing?" I sent him the project, and I was expecting to wait a few days. He got me back. He got back to me in about 30 minutes and said, "Yes, I want to do this." And so we've got Mark Mancina doing our score. So all of that takes money. So right now we're in the stage of trying to raise some funds so we can get all that post-production stuff done.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I know that you wanted to share your screen then, Aaron. Is that right? You want to just...
Yeah, I just thought it might be kind of fun to show for people that aren't familiar with what we do and how we do it. I thought I'd show a shot that I've been working on this weekend. And
yeah, because I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued what you're using to do the, what app are you using, what software you're using to do the drawing and animation. So I think that's what you want to show, right? So I'll dive over to your screen when you're ready. Let me just...
oh, sorry, I got to open it. I forgot when I rebooted. I didn't. I got to reopen it. Hold on.
That's all right.
1 second. That's all right. It's right here. We go. It's opening.
Okay, I'll dive over to your screen right now.
There it is.
There you go. All right. So we can see your screen now, mate.
Yes. So, the way the whole process works is, we write the story. Once it's written, then we need to create visuals. And so we storyboard the whole thing. And storyboards are basically single images that kind of represent a shot. And it's like a visual, it's a comic book, that tells the story. And then from there, we start doing our rough animation, working out our layouts, and then we get more and more refined. So at this stage, this is a shot I'm doing right now that shows, I'm going to take this out right here. It shows a little bit of the background. Imagine there being no clouds. And so the first thing I'll do, this is a shot of Glenn, our polar bear. He sees something off screen and then he rushes off. And so the first thing that I'll do is I'll go in and very rough, you can see these drawing. It might not look rough to you, but this is rough to me. I'll go through and very quickly just lay down some drawings. And this, oh, by the way, the software I'm using is it's called TV Paint software, animation software. It's from a French company. So if I scroll through this, you can see, little things like, look at that distortion in his eye. I want a real pop in his eyes and his expression. Then he settles into the expression of surprise. And then he runs off screen to go investigate. And I've also added some clouds in the background there going by. So once I'm happy with that rough animation, this is, like I said, this is a short shot. So some of these shots are, 30 seconds long. Once I'm happy with that, then I need to refine it. And so what I love about working digitally now that I couldn't do on paper is I can knock this opacity back, create a new layer, and now I've got, and you're going to see it, I've added drawings in here to smooth out the action. And so now I can go in, I'm going to turn off, I draw right over that rough layer. But now I've added drawings right here, and I've smoothed out that action. And this is the more refined look. But now, obviously, he's a ghost. I got to add some color. So one of the great things that TV Paint allows me to do is I can create another layer underneath, and I literally go through and just touch an area with a certain color, and it fills it. and I can touch another area with another color and it'll fill it. So that's how I end up now with a character that's in color. And then once I do that, I can add some minor effects. And now I can add like a little bit of shading on the bottom of the character, maybe a little bit of a highlight along the top edge. And there's a shot that's about 4 seconds long that took me 3 days to do out of 10 minutes. But that's a little example of kind of the process that I go through in making these.
Cool. All right, well, I'll jump away from your screen there then. So it's just amazing how you're able to use that software there, add a bit of color into certain areas. It starts to build that character. But then I'm sure everyone watching that just a bit then, when Glenn's moving, you can almost feel the thickness in his pelt. Do you know what I mean? The fur and the muscle, you can feel it almost. It's just
one of the things I'm really conscious of is not just the emotion that I want to get across, but I want you to be able to feel him. The environment is a big element of this film. So there's a lot of snow, wind, and that sort of thing. But I also want it to feel like you can sink your fingers into his fur and feel his fat and his muscle and all that. So I'm really conscious of moving his anatomy around in the right way.
Sure. Now when it comes to doing that then, because obviously there's a lot involved in that. It's not just a case of putting in some light and some shadow. You've got to have a bit of knowledge about this. So when it comes to research, you've talked about, being a good draftsman, being out there practicing loads and always drawing to keep that mental muscle kind of there. But what kind of research are you doing have you done for snow bear? Because polar bears, I don't remember seeing anything really to do with polar bears until this from yourself. So what kind of research have you done for that?
It's tons and tons of online research, obviously. I wasn't able to go to the Arctic for this, although it's funny, I'll probably be going to the Arctic to do some promotional for it, so it's all kind of backwards. But I got something right here. Hold on. Look at this.
When we had a break earlier on for the water, I've run out and I saw Aaron on the other camera legging it to go and get some water.
So
hello.
This
is
the cast. It's not real, so don't worry. But this is I love teaching animal drawing, and so I always start with the skull. So
wow,
here he is. That's what a polar bear can do.
Well,
this is a polar bear skull. So it starts with understanding that anatomy, getting in there and researching. I start with skulls and there's a difference between a polar bear skull and a grizzly bear skull and a black bear skull, and it's understanding all those nuances. And then it comes time to caricature it and simplify it and do all the things you need to do in order to make a nice, interesting, entertaining, appealing character on the screen. And so that it's studying that anatomy, and I watch hours and hours and hours of video. And if I get a chance to study a live animal, I do. So that's where we are.
Wow. So incredible stuff. Absolutely incredible stuff. So where apart from going to your website, where would you say then for people to keep up to date with what's going on with Snow Bear? Where would you want them to go?
Yeah, it's either our website, creatureartteacher.com, or you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Aaron Blaise Art.
There you go. I got your website just here, mate. So
great. And so on the website, we've got courses on everything from traditional art media, charcoal, drawing, painting, oil, watercolor, all kinds of stuff, to digital drawing and painting, and then filmmaking, courses on writing, storyboarding, animation, layout, backgrounds, all kinds of stuff. We've got over 700 hours of courses, content that's there. So if you're interested, check it out. Yeah.
And I know there's other, as well as yourself teaching stuff, you've had other friends and colleagues come in to produce courses as well. So they're teaching other things. And I know Dave's been over and produced something or created something recently with you as well.
Several years ago, there's only so much I know. And so eventually I'm going to run out. Plus, I'm a big advocate of having other people teach the same subject so you can get it from different directions. And so, like storyboarding, for instance, we have 3 different people teaching storyboarding. And because like I said, you can get something different from everybody. David Coleman, who's an amazing storyboard artist, animal artist, he teaches character design and animal drawing alongside me, and we kind of come at it from different directions. And so we've got a lot of different people in there teaching a lot of different subjects, some of the same subjects, and we're always expanding our library. So it's something that's going to grow forever.
Cool. Well, I'll make sure to put, like I say, links to that within the description and the blog post, and also all these social media stuff as well. But Aaron, listen, there's been tons of comments coming in. I think rather than loads of questions, people are just commenting loads because they're just like blown away. But let's just put my little graphic up. If you make it, you've got to use it. There we go. So now what I've done is I've just see if I can go over to my favourites bit here and. So just some of the stuff that's been coming through, mate. You might have seen it on your screen there, but let me just bring them up. So, I mean, this here from Lee Churchill just echoes everything. Wow, amazing work. Music is very Disney. With Stuart was asking about your AI. We've obviously covered that. Interestingly as well, Stuart, he's put one of my college projects was on the Lion King.
Oh, that's cool.
That's pretty cool. There you go. Far-reaching. Deborah, lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you so much for sharing. I've not even seen before, but we'll remember now. Oh, that was the John Lewis advert. Deborah, it is amazing. When you watch, and this is the thing, when you combine the animation, the story, and the music together, God, it's just
that's the thing. I love the music end of things almost as much as doing the visuals, because it really is. That's where it really comes together. I remember on Brother Bear when I went in to the sound stage, and we had this 84-piece orchestra, and they're playing for this movie that a few years earlier was just an idea in my head. I just started bawling like a baby. It was amazing. It really just comes together. It's great.
It really does do that to you, doesn't it? And it can either be really right or it can be really wrong. There's no in between. Right. It's just unbelievable. So other comments coming in here. We've got magical. And lovely one from Deborah saying Aaron's most beautiful soul in the world. There you go. But there's so many comments coming in here. Like Lee Churchill, clearly Lee's been transported back to his childhood, seeing those, the
1970.
I think when he saw the Procreate one, I think that was when Lee posted that one there. Because the way it is, when you see the outlines and the movement, and it does take you back to that. And my friend Ian Monroe, this is a real compliment, because Ian's attention span can be quite short. He's like, he's got a lot of energy, but he's an incredibly creative person. And it's not often Ian will stick around, but he's sticking around and he's watching this. And all the comments I've seen from Ian, just blown away with what was shown here. But yeah, unbelievable stuff. So I think you might have as well some people from your membership in here. We
were advertising quite a bit with our own group, and so I've seen Erica Bay and Julia and a few people in here that they're all coming over from our side of things. That's great.
That's pretty cool. Amanda Glassball, for someone who can't draw, this is mind blowing. Gary Nichols. It just goes on and on. A nice one here as well. Norman, wonderful educational session for those of us with no prior knowledge of this subject. Thank you. So well, I'm very conscious of time. You're a busy man. You've got a lot of drawing to get on with. But Aaron, this has just been phenomenal. I want to do this in a way that we can bring you back a bit later on, maybe in about 3 or 4 months or so, when you're further down the line with Snow Bear and things are happening.
I would love to come back with Snow Bear finished and have a little session with you guys. It would be great.
That would be cool if we dedicate it purely to Snow Bear. And you talk to us about things like this, because didn't you mention about the score? You might be coming over to the UK. Is that still kind of?
Yeah. So right now our score got pushed back a little bit because they are feverishly trying to get Moana 2 done. So we won't be scoring now until September, probably mid-September. We're looking at a few different places, but one of the places we're looking at is Abbey Road in London. Can you imagine?
I know. God, dear me. That would be amazing.
So we just haven't settled yet. There's Abbey Road and Sky Studios, which was the Beatles manager that started that studio, or that stage.
Yeah.
And then there's a place in Nashville we're looking at and everything. But
Wonderful. Well,
so that's all going to happen in September.
If the Abbey Road thing does happen, you know what you got to do, don't you?
Of course.
You know, it's got to be done, hasn't it? You know, the crossing.
I won't be wearing shoes, I'll tell you that.
No, I remember when we were at your place, you got soles of your feet are like leather from all the walking as a kid when you're out exploring. But listen, unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. Aaron, don't disappear. I'm gonna chat to you afterwards just briefly because I know Anne wants to come in and say a quick hello. Sure. But I think probably the best way to kind of end this would be to, again, just to show that Snow Bear piece one more time. And again, folks, don't forget, I'll be putting in the description all the links to things that Aaron's mentioned and in the blog post tomorrow. Actually, before I play it, Aaron, the thing on the memberships things that I saw a very quick sneak view of a reel you did earlier on, maybe a couple of hours or so ago, about the funds for Snow Bear. What was all that? Yeah. What were you saying?
Yeah, so we're trying to be creative in how we raise funds, and we don't want to just ask for free money either. So we decided that we created a whole new way to become a member, and that's a lifetime member for folks. And so for a fee of, I think it's $4.99, you can become a lifetime member at creatureartteacher.com, and basically you'll get everything that's on the site and anything we do in the future, including future live streams and all of that. And that's all going towards supporting getting the film done. And that's been fairly successful. We've been cranking right along, and so it's looking like we're going to get everything covered as long as we keep going at the rate we're going. So you can go over and become a lifetime member, and that'll help us make the movie and possibly make more.
Cool. All right. Well, again, I shall put those details into the description, kind of thing. Ian Munro, look at this. Thanks for the best interview to date. That's high praise.
Well, thank you. Right? You know what? I love getting together with you and Dave and every time we get together, we have a great time. And I want to thank everybody else for coming on and listening to me babble about drawing. I love it.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It really, really is. But Aaron, don't disappear. Again, thank you so much for doing this, but don't disappear. I shall catch you. You'll see things happening on the screen, but just stick around until I'm back. But mate, thank you so much. And roll on when we get to meet up in person again, because it's just been too long. It really has.
It has. Hopefully I'll see you over there. I owe you a trip over there.
Well, come to the Southwest. I've said it a few times. Cornwall, Devon, mate, you'll love it. It's an artist's paradise. You'll love it. Yeah, cool. All right. All right, love you, mate. Catch you in a moment. All right? See you in a mo.
See you.
Oh, wow. You know what I mean? It's just incredible, isn't it? I mean, I've been watching, like I say, some of the stuff throughout the week that Aaron sent over, and it has been a proper emotional roller coaster. And I think it is because it does take you back to being a kid again, doesn't it? When you remember how you were, how you reacted to cartoons then. It's just all those years in between just disappear when you see it being done in a traditional way like that. But we'll definitely get Aaron back on when Snow Bear is finished. To show maybe a kind of like a special screening and Aaron doing some talking about things that have happened since this one. So I really look forward to that one. Right, I'm going to play the actual Snow Bear thing again to play out. But before I do that, just to remind you on a couple of things of the admin before we go. So let me just dive over to my screen again. I'll put the details of Aaron's Creature Art Teacher website in there. There's a ridiculous amount of stuff in there now. I remember when he first started out. Actually, on that note, let me just kind of say, on that note, those of you who use Photoshop, there's tons on there for using Photoshop. Brushes, loads of brushes. And that's where, I know we've got AI stuff now, but if you want to stick to doing it the proper way, creating hair and all that kind of stuff when you're doing your masking, you're cutting out, the brushes. I've got all of them. I've got all of them in my Photoshop. They work a treat. So definitely check those out. Other things to mention was, let me just dive over. Don't forget, check out my Lightroom profile page. I'll put that in because it is it's just a great free resource. Not just my stuff, but there's loads of other people's stuff that you can check out in the community page. If you see images that you like, and you can scroll over, say, how on earth did they edit those? You click on them. It'll take you through to how they did. You can see all the settings that they used. Just a great free resource for learning. And also, don't forget to subscribe. Let's just press that. Come on, you've got to come up. There you go. Don't forget to subscribe. And the last thing before I play this is next week's guest, because we are on next week, and it's going to be a different one next week. My great friend Dave Clayton's on next week. We're going to get to know a little bit more about Dave behind the scenes, what made him become the graphic designer that he is. But Dave's also wanting to show something to do with Adobe Express. Now, that's software and app that you'll have heard so much over the last year or so. Adobe Express, everyone's using it and designing stuff with it. But if you follow the same kind of socials that I follow, you've probably seen it being used for making kittens wearing spacesuits and playing the fiddle on the moon. Just really random, bizarre stuff. Dave wants to show you how you can use Adobe Express to completely simplify creating graphics for yourself, for your social media posts, how to organize yourself, how you can kind of get things to be posted on a schedule. It is just stupid. You can create one graphic, press a button, and it'll automatically change it to a different layout for the different platforms that you share on. So that I am really looking forward to seeing, because I've never really dived into Adobe Express. So we're going to get a lot of education from Dave and get to know a little bit more about him as well behind the scenes. Things that maybe even I don't know. But it'd be interesting. But hey, right. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I really appreciate it. It's been wonderful having my great friend Aaron on. Just the best. Absolutely the best. Let's play out now with Snow Bear one more time. And I will see you same time, same place. Next Sunday, 9th of June, 7 p.m. UK at this link. All right? I'll see you later.